What is up, guys? Natural Roots here, back with another video. And today we got something special. We are making our first living soil. Now, this is my first time with organic living soil. I've had organic soil, but I've never had a living soil with life inside it and understanding microbiology and how everything interacts and works and feeds off itself to basically give the plants what it needs in exchange for the fruits and sugars that, the dry amendments that I will be adding into this living soil will give the plant, be able to basically make decisions for itself rather than me feeding it something that it may not need at that exact moment. So I'm very excited for this. This is gonna kind of, I think, be the transition for me and how I grow going forward for my grows. So I'm very excited, and I'm open to learning. I'm always learning, and I'm really trying to find new ways to get the most out of my plants, whether that's flavor, profile, terps. Obviously, yield is nice, but I would much rather have quality over quantity when it comes to bud and the genetics I grow. So we have, going right into it, for our soil, we got the Pro Mix HP High Porosity, what does it say? Biofungicide Mycorrhiza Soil. So that's gonna be our base. Now I have cocoa bricks from Canna that I will be getting wet here in a moment, and they will absorb. So each block it comes together is about 20 liters. So the living soil recipe calls for 2 gallons of cocoa. So that's exactly what these blocks will inflate up to once it absorbs the water. We have our pure worm castings here. That's calling for 4 gallons. I realized I didn't have enough, so I had to go to the hydro store here in Michigan and grab some natural worm castings from them, which is cool because it's more local and still organic. And then I also grabbed some clay pebbles that you would maybe use for hydroponics, but I'm actually going to use it as my aeration rather than pumice stone or perlite. Obviously I don't want perlite because that breaks down over time. So I want something that's going to stay in there long term. So I have done some research. People have said using the gold, whatever that brand is, the corn clay pebbles, whatever the fuck. But this was the alternative I had because it was all I had. So I'm going to use those for aeration, and then I have a bunch of amendments, dry amendments, that we will be putting into the soil after this step. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it. It'll probably be kind of like a time lapse, and I will get this all absorbed. We'll mix the soil and the worm castings. We'll also do the pebbles, and then we will go into the dry amendments shortly after. So I'm currently smoking on some Gorilla Glue Outlaw from House of Dag here locally in Michigan. This shit's really good. It's got some nice gas profiles, pretty chill high. So yeah, let's do it. Alright guys, so this is a nice little voiceover. Right now I am watering the cocoa core from the bricks, just adding a bunch of water and letting it inflate and breaking it down nice and easily. It took me a few trips to get this done. Probably would have not drilled holes through the bottom of the container beforehand because the water just soaked right through. So a little tip there, don't drill the bottom yet. Let all of the water sit there and absorb the cocoa core if you use the brick method. Other than that, just buy your own cocoa core that's already pre-made, but make sure to rinse it out because it needs to be thoroughly rinsed.
to get any possible outside, contaminants just cleaned and washed out. You want it to be nice and fine. Now that we have the cocoa core base, we are going to be adding in our soil. I use the HP mix from Pro Mix, the biofungicide mycorrhiza, and that requires 6 gallons. So you can use any base soil for this. I just chose to go with this one. There's tons of good ones out there that you could use. Coast of Maine, Fox Farm soil, you name it, Mother Earth, whatever you like. So 6 gallons each. Like I said, I'm making a double batch here, so it's a total of 12 gallons here. And make sure you mix it up nice and thoroughly. We want to get everything mixed and blended well, everything well together. So as you can see, I'm just tossing it all around, making sure everything's nice and well blended with the cocoa core, so the plants can utilize everything available. And now we have our worm castings, one of the most important parts of our soil microbiology. Worm castings are very beneficial for your soil. They're going to love and eat it all up. If you even wanted to, you could put some worms in your soil to create a everlasting amount of worm castings. I've yet to do that, so this calls for 4 gallons, but I actually think I only had about 3 gallons with the bags. I kind of underestimated how much I needed. So I got about 3.5 per container. So I just mix that up nice and good. And yeah, I can add additional worm castings along the grow, so I'm not too worried about it. And last is going to be our clay pebbles that I picked up. People typically use this for hydroponics, but I decided to use this as an aeration source because it doesn't break down like perlite or I know people go against pumice stone too, so I decided to go this route to give it a little more aeration and to have something that doesn't really break down and something that my soil will actually enjoy having around. Now we are ready to get into the amendments. We have oyster shell here to start. I'm starting with 3/4 cup per container. This is going to increase nitrate uptake, calcium for better root development and stronger stems. This is limestone. We're going with 1/4 cup. Nature's CalMag, lots of calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate. Very good for the soil. Next up, dolomite lime. Basically the same thing as your limestone. It's going to have all the calcium, magnesium. It's going to help regulate the pH. We are doing 2.5 cups here. If you don't have regular limestone, use more dolomite lime. It'll be fine. Next, we're going to grab some bat guano. We're going to do 1/2 cup here. Bat guano holds lots of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It's going to help the microbes that benefit the texture of your soil. So definitely a good manure-like source to use. Moving on over to feather meal, very important. We are going to use 2 cups of feather meal per container. This is going to help improve the soil structure, long-term nitrogen release, increases your vegetation growth as well. And now we're going to move on over to some bone meal. We're going to do 2 cups of that as well. This is going to help increase phosphorus in your soil and develop strong root systems. It's got a slow release up to 4 months, so this is going to be really long lasting, breaks down nice and slow. Next up, we got blood meal. We're going to be using 1/2 cup. This helps improve your soil, plant growth, and flowering, reduces waste, and deters unwanted pests and aids in composting even. So good for virtually all plants. Right over to rock phosphate, we're going to do a 1/4 cup. It is what it says, so it's going to have that phosphate in it. It's going to help with new growth and help keep the plants healthy. For gypsum prilled, we're going to do 1 cup. This is going to help with water uptake, helps reduce erosion or runoff, and help with sulfur and calcium. Kelp meal, we're going to do 2 cups of that. It's a nice marine algae. It's going to help with promote quick growth, good source of nitrogen and potassium for your plants, so let them eat this up. Kelp meal is very good for your garden soil. Moving on to azomite, we got 1/2 cup here. This is going to help improve plant root system growth, crop yields, remineralize nutrient depleted soils. Not necessary, but if you got it, use it. Moving on, we got alfalfa meal. We're going to do 3 to 5 cups here. You can use however much you'd like. This is going to help improve plant root system growth, crop yields, remineralize nutrient depleted soils. So your plants love this. Last, we're going to use humic acid, 1/4 cup here. This is a form of lignite that is derived from oxidation of coal. This is a group of molecules that bind to and help the plant roots receive water and nutrients. This can dramatically increase your yields. So that is going to be it, guys. We are now just going to blend all of this together. This is a lot, I know, but if you can get yourself the investment of doing this and giving your soil all these nutrients, you are not going to need to buy a bunch of this stuff after this. You could reuse your soil and re-amend it, you know, as you go for these slow releasing things that break down over time. But yeah, guys, this is what I'm doing for this grow. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Tell me what you're doing. Do you guys have living soil? If so, what nutrients do you stick to? Is it some of this stuff? Is it not as much? Let me know. Other than that, we are going to roll with this experiment, and I'm going to see how this grow goes with this new form of soil.